In recent years, there has been a shift. I'm not saying a tectonic shift, but a shift nonetheless in the classical music realm where, on occasion, new commissions were tethered to a story or meaning, much like the extra musical ideas that gave rise to programmatic music in the Romantic era. But in the wake of George Floyd and Black Lives Matter, we saw an aggrandizement of works by underrepresented artists who reflected on their own identity and what it means to be fill in the blank. In opera, it was sexy to talk about the stories that haven't been told on the operatic stage before. And it's still a good idea, BT dubs. As composers of color, we often found ourselves defining the meaning behind a new composition as if every note is an expression of a wound of unspoken trauma compounded by decades and decades of abuse. And I have to admit, it was a fruitful time creatively, but it almost felt like an expectation that was placed upon us, that whatever we wrote had to make the audience feel good, that they sat and listened to a myriad of pieces that responded to the more challenging parts of the United States' troubled history. The result was a cultural renaissance that brought into the light what had been kept in the dark, and in the most beautiful way. One such piece, Songs in Flight, a 12-song cycle by my good friend and enemy, just kidding, Shawn Okpebholo, with text by Dr. Tsitsi Ella Jaji, Crystal Simone Smith, and Tyehimba Jess. The piece draws inspiration from advertisements for runaway enslaved individuals while honoring the resilience of these historical figures and acknowledging modern-day struggles with racial injustice, including references to Ahmaud Arbery and Trayvon Martin. The work premiered in 2023 at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, and now we have an album, which was released in February of this year on Cedille Records, based here in Chicago. On this fourth episode, I talked to Shawn about this most august work. Welcome to Artillery, y'all. Welcome to Artillery, Shawn. It's glad to finally have you on the show. I know you were bugging me about being on here, so here we are.
I should have been your first guest, but that's okay.
Hey, look, I said you were going to be the third, and I was almost a man of my word, and now you're the fourth, so here we go.
Okay. I keep getting pushed back. That's okay. That's okay.
Well, you're here now, so that's all that matters.
I'm glad to be here.
Let's talk about Songs in Flight, shall we? Beautiful song cycle. I have listened to this album, several times at this point, and I remember when you were writing this. Can you tell us a little bit about the genesis of this project?
Yeah, this was a very exciting project. Martha Guth, who is the artistic director of Sparks Wiry Cries, which is an art song organization, she randomly just called me one day. I didn't know her, and said, I have this project. She explained what it was. This database of over 30,000 advertisements of runaway enslaved people, and she wanted to do the song cycle, based on this, inspired by it. I mean, and she's a visionary. She says, I want Rhiannon Giddens to do it, Will Liverman, Karen Slack, Reginald Mobley, Howard Watkins, and I want it to be done at the Apollo in New York. And I mean, I don't think she had any funding. Okay. And she's like, I want to commission you to write it. And I want Tsitsi Ella Jaji, the poet. It was she had it all in her mind, this idea.
And who is this? Who is this person?
Martha Guth. She's an amazing soprano. If you don't know her, you should.
Okay, I'm gonna look her up. If she got ideas like this, come on now.
No, and she makes it happen.
Wow.
But not only that, like I said, she's an amazing soprano. I mean, she's won the big prizes, and she sings everywhere. But she also has this idea of creating these meaningful projects, and she's just so savvy and she makes it happen.
We need people like that.
But it's so funny because and so I actually said, let me think about it, because I had just finished, two pieces that dealt with like Black pain. Right. And I'm like, I don't know if I can do this.
Was Two Black Churches one of them?
Two Black Churches, Two Black Churches was one of them, but also, did a cycle, that dealt with, slavery and
it's a lot.
It's a lot, but that's why my opera is a comedy. And so I went back and looked at these just read these like advertisements, and what it did was, you know, these advertisements were meant for one purpose, to recapture these enslaved runaways,
Mm-hmm.
right? But what it did was it gave us a glimpse into their like humanity, what they wore, kind of how they looked, because
Yeah.
they were describing them, their
Yep.
mannerisms, where they last lived. And I'm like, because we often think of things like the Holocaust or slavery in the abstract.
Yep.
This was the Holocaust. This was slavery. But no, these were individual people,
Yeah, and that's
right?
that's that's really cool because I'm into genealogy and stuff, and when you look at the census, no one has. All you see is like sometimes you may see a name and sometimes you don't,
Right.
and that's all you see. You may see an age, and that's it.
No, no, you were describing, these people. And so, and obviously, the star power of this collaboration, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, you know what? Stop playing.
Right.
Like
I mean, you got some
I need to
powerhouses
do
on
this.
there.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
dope.
I need to do this. And she made it happen. No, it wasn't premiered at the Apollo, but it was premiered at the Metropolitan Museum of Art.
Wow.
And the Philadelphia, right, the Kimmel Center in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
We had some other performances, and then of course this album. So like it was just an amazing experience. Honestly, one of the most beautiful and inspiring creative experiences of my life, because not only because as composers, and you understand this, we kind of get all the credit,
Yeah.
um, but I'm working with the best poets and the best
Yep.
performing musicians, and telling the story that needs to be told.
Yeah.
I don't like to say we reclaim their identity. I like to say we just reaffirmed it, because reclaiming it implies that that the white people took away our identity.
Right. Right. Right.
But no, we just reaffirmed our identity.
Well,
It was great.
I love what you said in one of your program notes. It said, you wrote it was something like, "You are the composer, but it took a village to create this project."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it did. And not just like the poets, and the singers, but even working with the historian in at Cornell,
Mm-hmm.
who his name is Ed Baptist, who helped speak into the project.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. It took a lot of people to make this happen, and I'm just so grateful.
So the source material were these advertisements that you came. Were they a part of the Freedom on the Move database?
Yeah, yes. So what that is, if I should have started with that, is you have like 30,000, just over 30,000, and it's going to be they keep adding more. These advertisements that they've found, and you have people that can just go in and put in all the metadata, pretty much like type out everything, so you can like actually do word searches.
Like last
You know,
names and all that stuff too?
last names, anything. There's one line in my song cycle where it says, "Is it scar or sear?" We did like on their cheek. We don't know if it's scar or sear, because it's the writing is unclear. Yeah, yeah, you can say yellow shirt, or such and such Georgia, a last name. And so that's why, in the song cycle, we were able to connect, Trayvon Martin and the name Martin with Martins in the past, and George Zimmerman and Zimmerman's in the past, and make these associations. So yeah.
Yeah, I'll ask you more about like how you draw conclusions from the past and make it more not relevant. It's not the right word, but make it, I guess, relevant for today. But another thing that I want to ask you is like each of the songs are so different from each other, and you're drawing from a variety of inspiration. Like what is the creative through line to bring this piece all together,
Yeah.
if there is
So
one?
no, there is. So Okay, a couple things. There's multiple layers.
Bullet
Okay,
points. Bullet points.
I know, I know.
If y'all don't know, Shawn is the bullet point king. Okay.
Damien is my homie, so if he gets an email from me, he knows it's going to be like bullet points. Okay, so there are a couple of things that I had to consider. One, I was working with. Okay, so Tsitsi Jaji, who's a ridiculously amazing poet, she curated the entire project. So we used several of her poems, but she also brought in Ty Higby Jess, the Pulitzer Prize winning poet, and also Crystal Simone Smith, who is a poet who specializes in like this Black haiku.
Okay.
So we have like a haiku poet, a poet that a Ty Higby Jess who does like these. I'm sure I'm messing this up, like these sonnet type poems.
Wow.
Okay, and then you have Tsitsi Jaji, who's writing like, a different type of like more long form, but in some ways more abstract poetry. So you have three different poets who are trying to tell the story, right?
Right.
But also you have Karen Slack, who is this soprano with this big voice,
right?
Big
and warm. We love Karen.
Yeah, I mean, big and warm. We can say a billion things about her voice, but it's Karen's voice, right? Then you have Rhiannon Giddens, who's like, a crossover folk singer, but classical musician. I mean, she's in her own category.
Yep.
I can't even describe her. I mean, it's brilliant. You have Reginald Mobley, who's this countertenor who is just he specializes in Baroque music and early music. So you have that timbre, and then you have Will Liverman, who is just awesome, and one of my I've written a ton for him. So
how do you bring all that together? Anyway,
exactly. So I have these three different. I have these poets who have different languages, but these singers who have different vocal languages or styles or timbres, colors. Colors is the best word. Colors, to tell this story. But you know what? What it did? What it did was it reflects who we are as Black people. People think we're just like one idea. No, we're all different. We have a story to tell, though.
Yep.
Okay, so as I was writing this, I had to consider all of this and the ads that we chose to base the piece off of. They're all different people.
Yep.
Little boy.
Yep.
Or a woman.
Yeah.
Or older person. To tell this. So yeah. So it was a challenge, but a beautiful challenge to weave in all the different personalities to tell one cohesive piece.
So how did you bring it all together? Was it you were figuring it out as you go? Did you have a plan in the beginning? Was it more organic?
No.
I mean, the result is beautiful. So whatever you did.
No, thank you. First of all, I start with. By the way, I'm taking all the compliments I can from Damien.
Because when we turn this off, it'll be back to normal. Don't worry.
right. I start with text. So before I wrote a single note, we had to get all the text together. So I'm going back and forth with Tsitsi, about this narrative. Okay. But with that, and this is with all my pieces, I also start with form. How is it organized? What is the architecture of the piece? Because if I don't have that, it will be a hot mess. There are people who can just write from A to B organically, and it's brilliant. That's not me. There needs to be some level of organization.
Okay.
Now, when I say organization, it doesn't mean that most likely the end product will look different than how I perceived it in terms of how I organized it. But there's a framework that I can work, inside of.
I wish I could work that way. I am more organic. I'm not good at planning. It all comes to the light eventually.
I'm low key envious because I can't do that. I'm too much of a mess to kind of do that. Let me have some sort of structure. But again, the structure, I can go outside that structure. I just have to have this start to help. Yeah.
Right. You said that Tsitsi curated it. What does that mean? Like, how did she put it all together?
Yeah.
Did that influence the way that you put it all together?
Oh, of course. I mean, she's incredible. And so she could have written all 12 poems, and it would have been brilliant and amazing. Okay. But she saw the vision of this, and she's like, you know what? Let's bring in some other poets to help tell this story. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and so she was the one that brought in Ty Himby Jess. Which that was a pre-existing poem that we were able to use, but she was the one that brought in Crystal Simone Smith and said, we should use some of these black haiku, or so we should commission her to write these black haiku to help tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
And so no, she is credited with really pretty much bringing the whole narrative together. Like a librettist. I mean, it is like she is a librettist
Yeah.
in a way. Now we went back and forth about order, and there are more poems than I needed. And so do we use this? Do we take this part? Do we take this out? How can we shape this? So it was a conversation, but she was the one that kind of helped bring this narrative.
Yeah, that's awesome. You bridge the past with present day issues. Is it important for you to make these connections in the pieces that you write?
Yeah. Well, so in this piece in particular, you know, if I wrote a piece about slavery, it's so easy for people to be like, "This is a great piece, but it's about slavery," but that happened a long time ago. You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Keep going. Keep going.
yeah. Well, yeah. It happened a long time ago. You know, I'm, it was a horrible time in our history, and and thank you for bringing this back. Thank you for keeping this in the conversation.
Yeah,
That's
I
easy.
actually feel like that people are saying things like, "Do we need this story
Yeah.
anymore?"
Well, yeah. No, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
do want to come back to that though.
Yeah. That's a whole other thing. But I was intentional. I said, we can't just leave it in the past because it's easier for people to kind of just dismiss it as something like that happened. It's a part of our history. So we made a point to somehow connect it to the present. Okay.
Hmm.
And so it's sad because, many Black people have that one event that changed your life in terms of like police brutality.
Hmm.
And for me, it was Trayvon Martin.
Yeah.
Okay. Because he wore hoodies,
Yeah.
right? And if you know me, I wore hoodies all the time, and that was like, for Tisha, it was Ahmaud Arbery,
Mm.
you know, and so we were able to draw these connections. One of the movements that I think is, I don't know, one of the most just moving movements called Four Martins,
Hmm.
where I mean, it wasn't hard to find, four Martins who were enslaved, right?
Right.
Uh, you know, um, and so which each had stories, right?
Yep.
To tie with Trayvon Martin, but she also just happened to search the word Zimmerman, you know,
Mm.
um, and not thinking that anything would come up, but no, there was an enslaver, named Zimmerman. So she was able to connect Zimmerman with George Zimmerman, who shot Trayvon Martin.
Wow.
And to have all these singers come in and out and talk about like describing this Martin from the time of slavery, to Trayvon Martin.
It's just genius.
Yeah, it was absolutely genius.
For Isaac Martin, dark and slender, scar across his chest, honor to pay all charges and retrieve property.
I don't understand how y'all didn't win the Pulitzer for this. I'm sorry. This is
Well,
like this was the hot ticket. I remember when this was premiere, I was getting text messages from people you probably don't even know
that's
saying,
very nice.
"Hey, have you heard of this? Do you know this person? Have you heard of this cycle?" It was like they said it was the best thing they had seen in years, or the
No,
best thing that they had seen.
very
Period.
nice.
Anyway, sorry I cut you off.
No, no. I mean, we do what we do, and we can't control the accolades, but we do what we do. But but yeah. It's just so many layers of this, and then obviously it's on this album, Songs in Flight, but to experience it live is also special because we also added art.
Yeah.
And some semi staging, that can help, with this narrative. Yeah.
Right. So some of the pieces have spoken text, and most of it is sung. How did you sort of delineate between what you were going to set and what you were going to have the singers sing?
Yeah. So I wanted somehow to include the exact language of these ads.
Mm-hmm.
So in several of the pieces, we just had it spoken and read. Okay, and to hear it spoken and read, and then alongside that, hear the poem that was inspired by the actual text really was special, and it added another layer of dimension to some of these pieces.
It was a beautiful choice. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm running out of compliments, man.
Thank you.
Let's go back to this question of, do we need any more stories about slavery? I have to admit that I wrestle with this myself when it comes to things that I'm writing and stuff like this. It's almost like I do want to take a break from these stories because it can be so taxing on you as the creator to have to sort of read through all of this stuff. And it's almost, and just sort of like feel it, and like there's all these sort of empathic things that happen when you're working on these pieces. And I remember when I sang in Sanctuary Road a couple years ago now, I had a conversation with somebody from the audience, and they were like, this was somebody who was younger, and they were like, why do we need this story? And Sanctuary Road, I mean, Paul Morvick and Mark Campbell, it's about triumph. It's not just about the sort of woes of slavery, right? It's about how people have triumphed at the end. Mm-hmm. But do we need these stories?
Yes.
That's your answer?
That's my answer. No, that's my. I always have a lot of words to say, but no, that's simple. Yes, we do. And I should say, we need to tell them in a way that brings humanity to these stories.
I agree with that. Yep.
Yeah. So like I said, to talk about just slavery as an institution, to me, I wrestle with that too because, yes, that's important, right? We should talk about that. But let's just, what if we, in that context, talk about specific people or moments, okay? To say, because once you make it personal, or you can see a face or a personal story, I think that's what people can connect with more.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what we saw in 2020, right? When everybody was sitting down watching George Floyd get murdered. We had people saw that. We saw that it was a real person.
That's a perfect example because you talk about police brutality. That's bad.
Yep.
But no, we can put names to people who were actually brutalized and killed by the police.
Yep.
That changes some things.
Absolutely.
Like it's funny, there are people that I know that all lives matter type people who all of a sudden when Ahmaud Arbery died, they were like, doing these like 5K run like events in support of Aubrey because they're runners, right?
Right.
And he was running, and I'm like, but I kind of laughed. So I'm like, you know what? Things like this had happened before, and you were silent about it. But you know what? I'm like, you know what? They saw something that they can relate to, running.
Yeah.
And injustice. And I'm like, you know what? If it takes that for them to realize that this stuff is going on, has been going on,
Sure.
it's not new.
Yeah.
Then I'll take it. But it takes some personal connection or this story,
Absolutely.
For people to get it. And that's why I really just loved doing songs in flight, because I was able to have names and peoples and stories and talk about these little features or characteristics of these people.
Yeah. So back to the music. Talk to me about some of the musical influences.
Damien Jeter. Kidding.
Not kidding.
It's all over the place. As you know, some songs are more folkish, others are more of my art song, contemporary composition style, some are influenced by, my reimaginations of Negro spirituals that are my style also, that kind of bridges the gap between, spirituals and art song. Some are just straight up art song, but again, I tried to do a very cohesive piece. Also in this piece, you had solos, duos, trios, and by the way, when I say duos and trios and in a quartet, I'm talking about the piano too. The piano drives the narrative also, So so it's not like so it's a duo for soprano and piano, not soprano accompanied by the piano.
Right.
And the pianist would all the notes they're playing, they would probably cuss me out if I don't give them credit for that, because that's a workout. But it's intentional. I mean, they drive the narrative also.
The premier pianist was Howard Watkins.
Yes, Howard Watkins. If y'all know him, he's amazing. He's a pianist at the Metropolitan Opera. He can play anything. He was amazing. He couldn't be on the album because of a conflict. So on the album, I have Paul Sanchez, and if you know my other albums works, he's one of my biggest collaborators, a friend of mine. He's just a brilliant pianist.
Yeah, I love the way you use minimalism. It really, particularly in the first song, "Oh Freedom," and how you sort of build the tension as the text sort of builds the tension.
Yeah, and that piece, and that was the only piece that was I wrote before this cycle. I added it on.
But yeah, you cheated.
I know I cheated.
Listen, we all have those little folders somewhere.
Yeah. No. But I thought that piece needed to be in this cycle. But you had this idea, this pounding on beats 3 and 4 that happens throughout the whole piece, and then every single time, every 8 bars or so, I add another element. And add another element on top of that, another element. And so, it's funny, by the end, it gets so almost hopeful and big, but I didn't like change any notes. I just kept adding notes.
Yeah.
Something that sounded so harsh, boom, boom, boom. It's amazing what happens when you keep adding layers and layers and layers and layers and layers above that. It's funny, even listening, you're like, okay, how is it going to add another layer? How is the pianist going to, is he or she going to have to grow an extra arm or fingers?
They figure it out. Pianists are amazing.
Yeah. But that's studying like Bach and counterpoint and or contemporary composers like Frederick Rzewski, who just knew how to like add layers and like how do you add an extra line and it works?
Yeah, it's very effective. It's very effective, especially with the storytelling. I mean, I took a few notes myself, and I'll be incorporating some of those in my next song cycle.
before I'd be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. No more mourning, there'll be no more mourning, no, no more mourning over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and be home with my Lord and be free. No more crying, no more crying, Lord, there'll be no more crying over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and be home with my Lord and be free. There'll be singing, there'll be shouting, there'll be glory, oh, freedom over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and be home with my Lord and be free.
All right, Mud Song. Mud Song is my favorite, probably.
Yeah, it's so funny because I think you experienced this where you write a piece and you have your favorite or the piece that just resonates with you. And but the audience will just gravitate towards like another
Yep.
movement.
Yeah.
Well, I love all the movements, and I love Mud Song a lot. It's so fun and I think it's creative and oh my gosh, Rhiannon just kills it. Rhiannon and Paul Sanchez, I should say, the pianist. That is the most talked about track. People love Mud Song.
It's
You
cool,
know?
man.
Yeah,
It's catchy.
yeah. They leave singing it, and
Yeah.
and
I was
so-
listening last night and I'm still singing it this morning.
Yeah. But that was a cool, more of an abstract. It's a poem by Tsitsi Ella Jaji.
What's the poem about? Do you remember?
Yeah. So I should first say musically, it's like my, I guess, modern take on folk music, kind of neo folk. But there's something reverent about it. I mean, Tsitsi Jaji, in her brilliant way, she writes a poem that honors the crocodile and the alligator, two creatures from opposite sides of the Atlantic. Africa, one dwelled in African waters, and other lived in North American waters. Tsitsi's poem draws upon this Ghanaian proverb about how crocodiles adapt. And that idea gets stretched into a metaphor for how enslaved Africans carried what they could and then remixed, rerouted, reimagined their culture in strange in the stolen land.
Yeah, it's a cool song, and like the melody of that is so catchy.
The octave, she goes bum bum. Yeah,
Yeah, it just gets stuck in your head.
Herald of Freedom, Edenton, North Carolina, United States, March 27, 1799. Ran away from the subscriber, Aaron, a stout, likely black fellow, about 5 feet 10 inches high and 26 years old. He has been branded by a former master on one side of his face and commonly ties a small handkerchief under his chin to cover the brand. He formerly worked in the Lebanon swamp and has a wife in Nixington. If he is not lurking thereabouts, he has probably got a free pass and found employment as a shingle weaver on the Virginia side of the Dismal. Mr. Williams, Mr. Capron, and Mr. Doty are particularly requested to have him apprehended if he should apply to them for work. I will give $25 to any person who will deliver him to me. Thomas Fitt, Lazy Hill, February 20, 1799.
Crocodile swims in the water. Crocodile takes a breath. Welcome, welcome, alligator, our newfound kin. Oh, dismal freedom, the otter lurks near me. I am a twitching bird behind a screen of reeds. Crocodile swims in the water. Crocodile walks on land. Welcome, welcome, alligator, our newfound kin. The water snake poisons men who dare hunt men. Sweet swamp gas rising, I will not drown again. I will not drown again. Crocodile swims in the water. Crocodile comes ashore. Welcome, welcome, alligator, our newfound kin. The people here before us taught us the marsh is cold, the castle of our skins, these scars turn into gold. Crocodile swims in the water. Crocodile takes a deep breath. Welcome, welcome, alligator, our newfound kin.
So what's your favorite part, if that's not your favorite part?
I have a lot, but I think what grabs me, Four Martins just grabs me. Maybe because of probably the Trayvon connection.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. You also have this quartet with Reggie, Karen, Will, and Paul.
Is that the one that's like giving these real kind of cool jazz chords?
Yeah.
I love that one too.
There are a couple of them, but what I love what I love about this one, this one is called "I Go by Robert."
Is it the one that I'm thinking where you use it twice?
Yeah, I use it twice. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I Go by Robert.
It's one of my favorites too.
Thank you. I Go by Robert is really catchy because in this one, it talks about Bob in the ad, right? And then Reggie plays the enslaved runaway. And it says, there's a line where they say he goes by Bob, and this enslaved runaway says, no, I go by Robert.
Traveling man. Oh, I'm a traveling man, and I can't sit down yet. Oh, I won't sit down. Traveling man. When he was all of 22. At 22, I cleared my name of fraud. I stashed away words of free on my bright brown person. There's no equal to free. Oh, there's no equal to free. Oh, there's no equal. Oh, there's no equal to free. Every day I hone my foot, hard pressed into leather. Every day I limp, no swagger on my own damn feet. I'm a traveling man, and I can't sit down yet. Oh, I won't sit down. Traveling man. Traveling man. Oh, there's no equal to free. Oh, there's no equal. Free.
Jubilee at the very end is just gorgeous. With Will Liverman.
Yeah.
I mean after Oh Freedom, Oh Freedom too. We talked about that.
Yeah,
I
Oh
can
Freedom
talk about all of them.
it's great.
Yeah, but then when Karen first sings, the prelude, it's just glorious.
Yeah, everybody should just listen to the whole thing. I mean,
It's really special. I mean, there's a moment. There's one piece by, it's called Peter that Will sings, and the poetry just grabs you because it talks about, it's a haiku, and it talks about how he's getting flogged by his master, right? Who was a preacher,
Yeah.
And there's a line that says something like, I could not stay under a brutal master who was a good preacher. And that just grabs you, because even today you have these preachers out here, who will preach on Sunday, but they're okay with how the Latino immigrants are being treated.
Yep.
They're okay with all this other stuff. So this
hypocrisy of it all.
This transcends just this time.
Absolutely.
Yep. So the same preachers that were beating they're the enslaved people, the people are the ones who are proclaiming Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Oh, the hypocrisy of it all. Right.
Right.
Yeah. The story is so awful, but the music is so beautiful.
Yeah.
That's the statement.
No, thank you. But again, this is a very serious. These stories are very serious, and we don't sugarcoat them at all. Mm-hmm. But the purpose of this, I think, piece is to also again say these are people.
Yeah.
And beautiful people.
Yep.
And I try to write the music that actually reflects that.
Are there any plans to do this piece anytime soon?
Yeah. So there's been maybe 5 or 6 performances of this piece. It's going to be performed next season in North Bend, in South Bend, where Notre Dame is.
Indiana, okay.
Yeah.
Let me know when. I might be able to get down there.
Yeah. And then there is some other performances, down the road. So,
okay. The album came out, was it this year or last year?
Came out this year on Valentine's Day, which is kind of interesting to me. But you know what? There's so much love in this album, the whole process. Why not? But it came out February 14th in 2025.
All right, for all you Grammy voters out there,
listen,
we need to put some votes in for this.
We'll see. Your lips to God's ears.
Yeah. All right. So what's next for you?
A lot. I'm working on a violin concerto and a piece for sax quartet, and coming up, major choral work for choir and orchestra. Okay. That deals with climate change. And then I'm doing a song cycle, another song cycle, which I love doing. I think it's my.
Well, now that you've had a break from vocal music,
right. That I'm super excited about. So stay tuned about that.
Okay. So we've talked about this a little bit. I'm gonna go back some. That you are not a composer who can just write a piece of music. It always has to be about something.
Right.
So
I know we're different about that.
Yeah, we are. So when you write a violin concerto, like you are, what is it about?
Oh yeah, like it's so the violin concerto, I started writing the first movement in Green Lake, Wisconsin, where I'm actually at right now, talking to you. And it's a beautiful part of the country. I'm at this music festival where I'm a guest composer, and I'm at this Airbnb. There's this gorgeous lake. I mean, I'm composing outside, and there's like deer running beside me.
Is it a green lake?
It's in Green Lake. Yeah. Funny, haha. It's just gorgeous, and so I'm writing this piece. And, at nighttime outside, it's pitch black. Okay.
You can see the stars.
Yeah. It's pitch black and stars. It's so peaceful. Okay. And I'm thinking that's the same sky where you have, people in other parts of the world seeing like bombs. And, or same sky where there's just like injustice and, or not just, or happiness, or, that we share a same sky, And so while the piece isn't necessarily about war or a specific thing, it's about the idea, I think, that that how can we share the same space but have very different experiences. And so that's kind of the inspiration behind the piece. So, and I'm trying to focus it that way. As I write more, I think I'll probably focus it more, maybe something more specific. But it's the idea of sharing the same space, but being worlds apart, literally, in different experiences.
Well, we'll look out for that. That sounds dope.
Yep. So we'll see.
Anyway, all right. Well, thanks for being on the show. Finally.
No, thank you for having me.
I'll be sure to edit this so that you sound smart.
Yeah, do like with all my fast talking and stuttering. Yeah. make me sound good. So
yeah, no, I appreciate it. You're one of my best friends. So
I love it.
It's an honor to have you on here. So anyway, all right. Take care. I'll talk to you probably in 5 minutes.
Right. I'll text you.
All right.
Bye.
I want to be sure that we give props to the incredible musicians that you heard on today's episode. They include soprano Karen Slack, vocalist Rhiannon Giddens, countertenor Reginald Mobley, baritone Will Liverman, and pianist Paul Sanchez. PBS, NPR, and all of the public radio branches that extend across the United States were dealt a severe blow when the House gutted funds to the tune of $1.1 billion, which had been previously earmarked to support these important institutions who provide educational and informational content to millions of children and adults across the nation. NPR CEO Catherine Mayer called this an irreversible loss. Total funding will be eliminated over the course of 2 years, and rural areas and underserved communities may encounter the complete collapse of these stations. Like the NEA grants, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting receives only a small amount from the federal government, but it's not a negligible amount, and it's enough to raise concern, especially for the smaller stations. It's hard to think about growing up without Sesame Street or Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego or Ghost Rider, learning the ABCs with Patti LaBelle, or learning about the vast corners of the world through barbershop harmonies, or rooting for a group of adolescents who solved crimes through reading, writing, and critical thinking, and reading Rainbow. I mean, where would we be without reading Rainbow? I hope we don't lose these American treasures. And speaking of American treasure, I'm heading to Vegas to see Beyonce in the final concert of her Cowboy Carter tour. I mean, we could have a whole episode on this album and its companion Renaissance and whatever else is coming after this, but you know what? Actually, I just might do that. Thanks for listening to Artillery, the podcast at the intersection of art and politics. Oh yeah, and if you like what you hear, leave a comment, tell your friends, subscribe. Let's keep this train moving.
No, you better edit this.